Don't you wish there was a head-to-head randomized control trial comparing a ketogenic diet to a very popular, widely accepted diet like the DASH diet? Yeah, me too. Oh, wait, there is a study. I'm going to tell you about it in this video. I'm Dr. Ken Berry, a family physician. Keto beat the crap out of the DASH diet. Here are the details. So this article was published in the May 2023 Journal of the Annals of Family Medicine. This was a randomized control trial in humans, single-blinded, where half of the participants were instructed on how to eat a very low carbohydrate diet, aka a ketogenic diet. More details on that later. And then the other half of the group, they were all randomized based on their BMI, based on their age, based on their medical conditions, based on their blood pressure. So this was a completely randomized trial. The other half were instructed on eating the DASH diet, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. Now, the DASH diet was initially formulated by the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, and it was first published back in 1997, and they've actually changed it several times. Initially, on the DASH diet, you could eat all the highly processed grains that you wanted. Now they say you should eat all the whole grains, still processed, that you want. The DASH diet is basically a low salt, low fat, low red meat, high carb, calorie restriction diet. So it's one of those diets where you basically semi-starve yourself for the rest of your life. Most people can't do that. So these very fine researchers said, let's do a head-to-head randomized control trial. And now the very low carb diet that they used in this was much lower in carbohydrates than the DASH diet, much lower in carbohydrates than the standard American diet. They limited the participants to 20 to 35 grams of non-fiber carbohydrates per day. So that's not as low carb as I would recommend you eat, but that's way the heck better than the average study. So for 4 months, both groups got access to the same dietary counseling, to the same support. They got text messages, they got recipe books, and they went home and they ate either a very low carb diet or the DASH diet. Now, how do you think the results in this study turned out? So here are the results. Even though the DASH diet was conceived by basically an arm of the American Heart Association to lower blood pressure, that was its primary objective, okay? The very low carb diet arm of this study, they lowered their blood pressure by about 10 millimeters of mercury, whereas the DASH diet people lowered their blood pressure 5 millimeters of mercury. So the very low carb group had double the amount of lowering of their blood pressure. The very low carb group lost on average 19 pounds versus the DASH diet group lost on average 10 pounds. So almost double the weight loss with a very low carb diet. The hemoglobin A1C of the very low carb group went down a little over 1/3 of a percentage point. So maybe from 6.5 down to 6.2. And on the DASH diet, it went down about 0.14%. So it went from 6.5 down to 6.4. Now, this is another great example of the power of a very low carb diet. The very low carb group decreased their blood pressure medication usage by 40%. The DASH diet arm of this study reduced their blood pressure medicine by 8%. So the very diet that was conceived to lower blood pressure and has been touted by many authoritative bodies as the best diet in the world to lower your blood pressure, the very low carb diet quadrupled the lowering of the blood pressure medication need. So their blood pressure got so much better that they were able to come off much more blood pressure medication in the very low carb group than in the DASH diet group. Now, what about diabetes medications? Remember, they randomized everybody, so there was an equal amount of type 2 diabetics in both groups. The very low carb group were able to decrease their diabetes medicines by 40%, and the DASH diet group were only able to lower theirs by 0%. Yeah, I shit you not. The DASH diet did not have any meaningful effect on the need for diabetes medication, and the very low carb diet lowered their need for diabetic medications by 40%. Now, in light of this new study, I fully expect the American Diabetes Association, the American Heart Association, and U.S. News and World Report to stop recommending the DASH diet and to immediately start recommending a very low carb diet. Don't you? Tell me in the comments whether you think that's going to happen anytime soon. This study is just another nail in the coffin of the argument of why won't the keto diet die already? It's a fad diet. It should just die and go away. Well, it keeps getting proven to be better than other ways of eating in repetitive studies, some of which are observational, but many of which are randomized controlled trials in humans, just like this study. So the next time your doctor says, oh, you don't want to eat a very low carb diet or a ketogenic diet, it might make your blood pressure go up, you can hand them the copy of this study that you've printed out preemptively and say, Doc, maybe you should catch up on your reading, because a very low carb diet, a ketogenic diet, lowers A1C better than the DASH diet. It lowers blood pressure better than the DASH diet, and it helps people lose weight. Did I mention that the very low carb group, they lost on average 19 pounds versus the DASH diet, they lost 10 pounds. So almost twice the weight loss. So hand this study to your doctor and say, Doc, maybe you should catch up on your reading before you give any more nutrition advice. Hope this video helps. There's a link to the study down in the show notes so you can check it out yourself and print out a copy for your doctor and your dietitian. This is Dr. Berry. I'll see you next time.